Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I'm Taryn the Traveling Trainer with GoTarryn Personal Training here in the greater Atlanta area, about to welcome new guest to today's show for the very first time, who's also here in Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Chad White, who, by the way, also personal training client of mine here in Buckhead. So before I tell you more about Chad, I'd like to invite everyone out there, if you please be so kind as to like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. That'd be awesome. Now, returning to Chad for a second, he's going to be coming on to GoTarryn TV for the very first time. We're going to get a chance to talk. Not only is he a personal training client, but an awesome professional colleague and also a dear friend of mine who I've known for almost 10 years now, including his wife and his lovely kids, and they are awesome, and we'll talk about them a little bit. And also, Chad's going to be telling us what it means to grow young. That's a new term to me, so I'm interested in knowing what that means. How to grow young. He's going to be talking a little bit about that, about success, ambition, and some other awesome things, also related to health and fitness as well. So we're going to jam-pack that within the next half hour here together as we welcome Chad White for the very first time, so don't go away. And remember, with GoTarryn Personal Training, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. As I promised, side by side, I've got here also in Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Chad White. Chad, how are you doing out there today?
I'm doing great today, Taryn. How are you, and how are things at GoTarryn?
Very good, thank you. Things are always moving at GoTarryn. That's good. So, just kind of getting ready for the holidays. I know this is Halloween week, so my first question to you is, as we get caught up, are the kids ready for Halloween?
I don't know. We're in the teenager mode now with a 17-year-old, a 14, and a 12-year-old. So we are transitioning into other events in life, and which I think is good.
Yeah, I like that. And that's the theme, actually. That's a good segue as we're going to move into transitioning and talking about growing young today. I'm going to ask you about some common themes, how that looks like. And we'll also want to talk about your music album, too. So if George and David and Mary Brower, if they're watching, of course, special hello to them. How about Katie? How's she been doing?
Oh, she's been doing fantastic. In fact, we just celebrated my 48th year of adventure yesterday. So It was wonderful. The kids made me dinner, and I think it was more exhausting on Katie managing that process. But there was so much love that was put into the food that I could taste it.
Oh, very good. Happy belated birthday, Chad.
Well, thank you.
That's excellent. And for the folks watching, Chad and I go back a long time here, almost, I think, close to 10 years as far as knowing each other and working with each other. And, obviously as a personal trainer-client relationship, and you've come out several times at Georgia State, guest spoken for me at my classes. And I know that another thing we have in common, we're both businessmen and entrepreneurs, and you're always delving into different types of business opportunities and adventures. And since I've spoken to you, I know we're getting caught up, and I know music is a passion of yours. And again, we're going to talk about that momentarily. But every time we've had you come out to Georgia State, you've always done such a wonderful job talking about how to be successful, how to live to your full ambition, drive, things of that nature. So if we're going to, fitness and health is really important, obviously, to both of us, and we're both in our 40s, and I know that that's important to stay young, and like you said earlier before we were recording, to grow young. So I guess just to kind of maybe to start it off in an introductory, what are we talking about, I guess? What does it mean to you in terms of growing young? And I guess we can move into that subject kind of.
Well, to me, the phrase hit me, I got 2 years ago as I was heading into my 46th birthday, and I've heard everybody talk about growing old and look at that with such misery and disdain. And I always approach my birthday as it's another year of opportunity. It's been another year I've been blessed to be on the earth and have wonderful relationships. And so I approach it with gratitude and look forward with another year of adventure. Mm-hmm. And so I took this whole mindset of, growing old. What does growing young mean? Because that sounds to me to be a lot more fun, a lot more exciting. And when I think about that, to me, it's really a mindset. And that is, no matter how old or young I am, my best years will always be ahead of me. I'll always have, new adventures. And, even at 80, I will look back at all the lessons learned and adventures and look forward to what are the adventures I can have and what will make my life fun, what else can I learn, and really just live life every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. And there's a lot of material in there that you just covered there. And so kind of just talking about that for a second there, what you just said about living life every day. I think one thing that people get caught up with is kind of wishing their life away. I can't wait till, if they're kids, I'm 16 so I can get my driver's license. I can't wait till I'm 22 so I can graduate college, get out of here. I can't wait till I'm 40 when people start treating me like an adult. So I've been guilty of it. I can't wait till whatever. And so we're guilty of wishing our lives away. And so what is, in terms of that, in terms of living right now each moment, like you just said, what's one of the things that you could think of in terms of helping people, and what does that look like for people to kind of focus on that instead of kind of getting lost?
Well, I think the big thing is get up out of your seat and take action. So much of the wishing is great in terms of setting a vision, setting a dream. But it remains a wish if you don't get up and go out and do something about it. And that risk means you might get laughed at. People may make fun of you. If it's a comfortable thing and everybody's approving, you're probably not doing anything all that great or different. So allowing yourself to fail, learn from those mistakes and move forward. So I think it was Thomas Edison said, I've never lost. I've either won or I've learned.
I like that. I think he also was quoted as saying, I didn't learn, the wrong ways to invent a light bulb. I learned 999 ways how to not do it correctly. So that's another way to look at it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's really about, I think, being determined and honing in on who you are as an individual and as a person, and not who others tell you should be or think you should be. So that's the mindset that I've got. But that also, in order to do that, back to how we got to know each other, is to go out and do great things. You've got to have a physical body to do those with. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing, and this probably a couple of years ago, Harvey Mackay up on stage, and he was a phenomenal businessman in the, I believe, late 80s, 90s, and Harvey Mackay was his name. And he was up on stage, and at 80-some years old, he was very lithe and moving back and forth. And I was just amazed to find out how old he was. And there were one thing that he said he did. He said he had a stretching coach. As I get older, I'm not as limber as I used to be. So what I took from that was a lot of my routine is making sure I stretch and have loose muscles to go out and live my best life. And the other is making sure my core is strong so that I don't end up with a hunched over back. So I think I've gotten to the stage in life where there are a few little things done daily with consistency really will have a big impact over time.
Yeah, much agreed, Chad. I can't agree enough, especially in America. I think we've talked about this, that the natural tendency that the normal corporate job for most Americans is to sit hunched over at a desk for 8 hours or sit at a meeting desk, and even at home get slumped into the couch there comfortably while they're watching their TV and movies and such. So I think that you hit the nail on the head that if you wanted to take two of the most important physical components of exercise, it's definitely flexibility and core strengthening, no question about it. Even your basic physical therapist or your medical doctors will always recommend try to get that core strengthened for posture and for back and such, and then also for flexibility, range of motion, injury prevention, all of the above. Absolutely.
So those are my thoughts. From a physical standpoint. Mm-hmm. Mentally, it's allowing yourself to dream and I think as adults we worry about so much and worry about things that may not come true, if ever. And there's just not a lot of value in that. I think part of it also is having the discipline to really evaluate ourselves as we get older. What's the stuff that I need to shed? I mean, certainly, I could shed a few pounds, but there's also, mental shedding. There's, things in life that, possibly even some relationships that don't serve anymore. And, as you grow into your best self, there are things that have served their purpose. And those, if you're not careful, can certainly get in your way of the next step, the next journey.
Yeah, I like that. Very well said. And right now, today, of course, in this country, we've got a lot of divisiveness, especially with politics. We noticed that you just take the NFL, for example, they're still kneeling during the anthem, and you got some problems out there with the protests with climate change or global warming and such. And you saw a lot of anger and a lot of people really upset and posting on social media. But one thing you touched on also, that since we've known each other, is rather than kind of complain and sit there and worry about things, why not do something and make things out of action? So can you go, when you said that just a few minutes ago about talking about doing something, going into action, what does that look like for the person who might be angry or even politically upset or is angry that Trump's president and everything else that you could think of in terms of, what's going on in this great country of ours?
Well, and I think one thing is we have put so much of our happiness and power into who's elected, who's not elected. And that's just not the case. So if, I would challenge those who think their happiness relies on who's in Washington, D.C., may want to rethink their life and take some power back in what they can do day to day. And the biggest thing you can do that I found in life, and it is not easy to do, is go out and have discussions with somebody who's got an opinion 180 degrees from your own. So, we're all human beings. We're all unique. We've all got different experiences in our lives. And, I always say at this age, I'm pretty sure about what I think. And I also know I don't have everybody's perspective. I've got my experiences, and I leave my life open to be influenced. So I'm somewhat set in my ways, but if there's information that somebody has, I always allow myself to be influenced and let my beliefs evolve as I gather new information.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
So, but I do want to reiterate, I think the biggest thing is, instead of yelling and screaming at somebody who has a difference of opinion, have a conversation with them, because I think that leads to a lot of understanding. And, have the conversation with them over a cup of coffee and be genuinely curious. That's my thought. And that's how I've learned a lot.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. It's smart. And if, the people up in D.C. and Congress could do that too, maybe we can finally get some unity also, not have such divisiveness. But, yeah, absolutely. That's important. And it's kind of touching on social media for a second, because, again, I remember you and I talked about this before, that you had, at the time when I remembered, kind of distanced yourself from social media because of all the hate and just we talked about cell phone addiction too. But, especially having children and kids, what does that look like to you in terms of, I know technology is great, social media is wonderful, and the internet obviously is just, great, and the cell phones. But in the same time, the dangers and the addictive type of problems that could come out of it. Do you have any kind of strong influences as far as social media is concerned, or how you see children using it these days?
Well, I think technology is a wonderful tool, but you also need to understand what it's doing to you. And back to, my deal with social media at the time is, I got on it and everybody's yelling at each other. And that's just not what I want as part of my life.
Yeah.
What's wonderful about it is I've been able to connect with and stay connected with people from, high school, college, grad school, and see, what's going on in their lives, and as they're going through life's adventures and ups and downs, be able to reach out, pick up the phone, call them, drop them a note, do things a little more heartfelt.
Yeah.
So it's a great tool, and like anything, there's a tremendous upside, there's tremendous downside, and I think it's our responsibility to look at how it's impacting our lives. Mm-hmm. So, for me, the great thing about Netflix is I'm very much in control in what I want to watch and what goes into my brain. The downside is, if I'm not disciplined, hours could have passed by, and I've done more than just recreation, unwind. I've gotten sucked in. So I think, anything you learn by doing, and just, being thoughtful about what's out there. What do you think? Allowing yourself to be challenged, and it's very pervasive. We're not going to get away with it, but we're not going to get away from it. But how do we adapt it into our lives that we're able to still be human beings, connect with each other as we were designed to do, and not just texting each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. And kind of moving kind of subjects here, Chad, for a second. I know one of the great things you like to do to unwind and that makes you happy is music, and we've talked about that before. I've heard your music. You're quite good, excellent, in fact. And I wanted to talk to you about that as well in terms of what have you been up to music-wise. And, I know that's a passion of yours. So what is that looking like right now in terms of the time you're spending with your music?
Never enough. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting story how I got there. Is I did a development class for business, and part of it was improving your presentation, selling skills, and choose from a couple of the events, and one was the music in me. Never had I ever sung before in my life, but I said, I'm going to grab onto that one. I'm going to do that because I've never done it before. It will push me way out of my comfort zone. So I got onto that, did it. And so Saturday or Friday afternoon, Friday morning, Saturday morning, we would practice the song. And then Saturday afternoon, we got up in front of a small audience at a dinner club and performed. And it was an event. I learned a lot. As I thought, it pushed me way out of my comfort zone. And, famous last words, Saturday morning, I put all the nervousness aside. I said, you know what? I will never do this again. It just doesn't matter. So go out and have fun with it. And I did. And I had actually sung a song that I had written with somebody else as an engagement proposal to my wife. Two of the band members said, hey, have you thought about having this produced? I said, no, because I don't even know what that means. And they said, well, you come into a studio, sing, and you do a number of takes, and we'll put it together, add some more background music to it, and give it a cool vibe and feel, and we'll work through that. I said, that sounds awesome. And now I've got my anniversary gift covered for the year. I did that, and it was fun. It was new. It was something different that pushed me, stretched me. And I challenged myself into putting an album together over the next 2 years. And so now all of my kids have a song that I've, written for them, uniquely for them, and sung some other songs that have been more generic. So one of those is, back to our conversation about politics, it's called Grace is Missing. And personified the word grace, in terms of we show so little grace to each other, and we need to bring her back and find her as part of our lives and as part of human beings.
No, that's wonderful. That's excellent. And so are you in the process right now, Chad, of in your works of a new album, or what is that looking like? Because we were kind of briefly talking over texting in terms of that, so I was trying to find out where are you at with your music album.
So this one is the rough draft is finished. About half of the songs have been produced.
Okay.
And so I've got a couple that I'll need to go back into the studio and do some better lyrics for, or, and get them produced so it's a higher quality sound, and we get the vibe and the feel and the right instruments, so it's got the energy that I think it should have. But that should be wrapped up in a little while. And always, as I run into things in life, read something, have an experience with people, see something, that always inspires me for a new song, new ideas.
Very cool. Excellent. Now, I've heard your music before, as I mentioned. I like it. Can you tell the folks out there what kind of genre are we talking about if you were to classify it in what type of music genre?
I think it's probably Americana.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Some is, got some ballads. Some is a little more mid-tempo.
Mm-hmm.
Some's more upbeat. So it's a little bit all over the map at this stage, and which is fun. I'm not constrained. I'm having fun learning new styles, and I'll probably settle into something that that is me on album number 2.
That's really cool. So I assume that when you first started this kind of venture, your comfort zone, are you pretty much almost just about 100% comfortable when you're doing the singing and the music? Or, I mean, you're definitely better than you were when you first started, right?
Yeah, 100% comfortable.
Yeah.
No. And part of that is, continuing to develop a vocal range, styles of sound, and it's like any art. To master it, you've got to get up and get better at it every day. And I will go through and hear things, and I really don't like the vibe or the way it sounds, and change that. So I'll never be 100% comfortable, because there will always be a next level. And to me, the joy's in the journey, not a finish line.
Yeah, much agreed. Does Katie or the children at all have any kind of interest in singing with you, or would you like to see that eventually one day?
So, my view is wherever their talents in life may take them, that would be great. My 14-year-old daughter knows the lyrics to all of the songs, so that's, makes me smile and entertains me. But I'm a big fan of encouraging the kids to try things, expose them to different things, and figure out what suits them, and why were they uniquely put here on this earth, to figure out what their big contribution is to the world.
Mm-hmm. Good. I like that, Chad. That's excellent. I'm glad that that's going well, so good, so far. And as far as wrapping this back to what we were talking about when we first started, and reaching dreams, thinking big, and being ambitious. Are there some other kind of summarized closing statements you could touch on in terms of how to be successful, and any other mentors, or how important are people to emulate after for helping us succeed?
Well, I will say this in terms of singing. I've had 2 people that have been phenomenal coaches, and they were masters, and one is Roger Love, who was actually Bradley Cooper's vocal coach in A Star Is Born.
Oh, wow.
And Drew Lawrence, who has written a number of songs. And this was really, really neat. A moment where I was driving the kids to school, and my daughter wanted to play me her favorite song, her new favorite song, and she played it, and I believe it was Christina Perri's Jar of Hearts. And so we're driving. I listened to the song, and I said to Mary Brower, I said, "Now you want to hear something really cool?" She said, "What's that?" I said, "Well, Christina Perri, who wrote the song you've just played for me." She said, "Yeah." I said, "The same guy that helped me write your song wrote that song." So that small world, and just miracles happen every day if you pay attention to them.
Oh my God, yeah, that really is a small world. That's unbelievable. And you already knew that, as she told you, as far as...
Yes, because when I go to write songs with Drew in his studio, is a platinum album. as his part of working on the Jar of Heart song with Christina Perri.
Wow, that's awesome. That is really great. That's phenomenal. Unbelievable. Like you said, that is a small world. Oh, how cool. Wow. Well, that's excellent. I like what you said too about whatever your kids want to aspire to be. That's what you'll encourage them to do. And how about your goals, Chad? What does the rest of the year look like, short term for you, and then long term? What does the next 3 to 5 years look like? It's a two-part question in terms of what you need to get done.
Well, I think short term is my wife and I have a jewelry business, so we are heading into busy season. We'll be there shortly, and so we'll get through that. Longer term, what I am really working on and feel called to do is really combine my singing and those messages into speaking, leadership, personal development. I don't know how all of that's going to fit together yet, so that's part of my between now and the end of the year is working on some product development there, okay, and launching that first of next year.
Excellent. Very good. That's great, Chad. And right now, do you want to plug a website for the jewelry business at all, or any kind of contact information for yourself?
Oh, uniondiamond.com. And what I'll also do, Taryn, is share with you a link to Growing Young and
Yes,
Grace
please.
is Missing. And that way our viewers can listen and let me know what they think.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, we'll make sure we get that on the screen so whoever's watching can go ahead and click on it. That's excellent, Chad. Well, this 30 minutes has flown by so quickly. It's great to get caught up with you. I can't believe this went by so fast. But yeah, it's felt like literally just the time flew by so quickly here. So
we weren't doing burpees.
Yeah, right. That might have been a little longer if we were doing some burpees. That's true. You're right. Well, Chad, this was so much fun. Let's do this again because I think the next time I interview you, I think we could spend a whole 30 minutes on leadership and personal development in just one video blog itself. That would be a really cool one to do.
Awesome. Well, let me know when you'd like to do that, and we will make that happen.
Let's do it. Thank you so much, Chad. Well, please, again, tell Katie and the kids that I said hello. And definitely look forward to talking to you soon. And let's do another one of these next month. And as we fade to black, we're going to go ahead and throw those links on the screen as well. So enjoy the rest of your week, Chad, and happy Halloween.
To you as well, Taryn.
Thank you.